Good morning. Welcome into Monday Mornings with Murph. I hope you've had a great week, and I hope that the Lord has really been blessing you over the last weeks. We are coming into this, coming up on Christmas here, and it's, I guess, you see both sides of it. There's a lot of commercialism in Christmas now, and that's not what Christmas is about, obviously. But it is encouraging to see people out there having the Christmas spirit. And we've talked about, maybe we should have that Christmas spirit all year round. I think that's what we're shooting for. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I just want to wish you that Christmas spirit all year round in your heart. And I think that showing that on a yearly, daily basis, you're going to see that coming back. You reap what you sow. So anyway, on to the subject today. I'm wondering if anybody out there has the same issue that I have occasionally. Have you ever felt like you just really didn't stack up? You just felt like maybe I'm just not that good. I'm not worthy. I'm not that great a person. I'm not, I have a lot of faults. I have a lot of flaws. How can the Lord use me? How can, wow, I'm just, I see other people and think, man, they've got it all together. And I just don't have it all together all the time. And I think that we, a lot of times, tend to put ourselves down and look at ourselves like we're definitely not looking at ourselves the way God looks at us and how He sees us. And it's easy to, I guess what I'm trying to say, it's easy for us to almost take ourselves out of life or out of the battle by saying to ourselves that we're not even worthy to be doing anything for God. How could He use us, kind of thing. And I don't know if anybody else has that issue. Maybe it's just me. But we're going to talk about something today that really encouraged me, and I hope that it encourages you. And we're not really going to read a scripture, but we're going to talk about the scriptures in John 4. And you can look at that in whatever version of the Bible you read. But in John chapter 4, the scripture tells us that Jesus was at the beginning of His ministry, and the Pharisees were just learning of Him and what was going on with Him, and they weren't real happy with Him. And things were getting stirred up, and Jesus decided to go from Judea and go back to Galilee, his hometown area. And when he did that, it says that he had to go through Samaria. Now, scholars have said that in that time, Jews did not associate with Samaritans. And in all likelihood, if he had to go back, he probably would not have went through the middle of Samaria, even though it was the straightest line to go home. He probably wouldn't have taken that route. But he intentionally took that route. And he went and ended up in a town and went to Jacob's well. He sent his disciples on into town to get food, and he stayed at the well. And you say, well, that was just a coincidence. No, it wasn't. He met a woman. A woman came out of the town to draw water out of the well, and that woman, when she came, Jesus asked her for a drink if she would draw some water for him. And she said, "Why would a Jewish person even be talking to me?" Because they did not get along. The races did not get along. They did not talk to each other. Jewish people looked at Samaritans like they were dogs, basically. And so she was like, "Why would you even talk to me?" And he said, "Woman, if you really knew who I was, you wouldn't ask about water given to me. You would ask me for me to give you water, because it's living water that you will never thirst again." And she wanted that water. She said, "I would like that water." And she says, "Can I have some?" And he goes, "Well, why don't you go get your husband and bring him back?" And she goes, "I don't have a husband." And he goes, "No, that's right. You've had 5 husbands, and the man you're living with is not your husband now." And she realizes that he at least is a prophet and understands what's going on with her without knowing her. And she says, "You must be a prophet." And then she says, "We have heard of this Messiah that's going to come and give us all truth." And he says, "I am that Messiah." Excuse me. It is the first time that he publicly comes out and tells somebody that he is the Messiah, and he does it to a Samaritan woman that has had 5 husbands and is living with a man that is not her husband. I want you to think about that. The first time he publicly says, "I am the Messiah," is not to Jewish leaders or leaders of countries or presidents or kings, but it's to a woman who has a lot of issues in her life. He reveals. And so when you're thinking that maybe you don't stack up, you don't quite meet the bar, remember that Jesus shared his first confession of being the Messiah with a woman at a well that had a lot of issues. That's who he's concerned about, is all of us. All of us with problems. The scripture says that the well, meaning the people that are well, do not need a doctor. It is the sick that need a doctor. So just think about that. Think about that Jesus is here for all of us. We all don't measure up, but because of him, we do. And so I hope you have a blessed week. And until next week, I just hope you'll send me your prayer request, 970-466-4663, or michael@problemsolver.com, problemsolvergroup.com. And I hope you have a great week.